I've clearly labeled some of my red
Yeah,
flags and what
yeah,
it looked like when I ignored it.
yeah.
Have you ever ignored any red flags and paid for it?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we all have,
Mm,
so, usually this has come up in and, who I'm partnering with, right? So I can think of a couple scenarios, but, so at a very young age, I remember, um, you know, getting involved in, a partnership with someone, and it was with the music industry.
okay.
We were promoting concerts, and you've got to build, right? So you're not as you I don't think anyone's ever successful right out the gate. And so the first thing we promoted was an abject failure, right?
Mm,
And I think this person got scared and they backed out right away. But we had a commitment to do certain number of events.
mm.
So he backed out and I'm there holding the entire bag.
Been there?
So I went ahead and did everything else and then shut things down after that. That was and I actually ended up getting in another venture with that same person, and it had the similar outcome, which,
I think you
again,
told me about this, yeah.
this was I I I had gotten the warning signs in an earlier venture and decided to ignore them because
Mm,
I was so excited about the opportunity. I wanted to pursue the idea, and that was a huge mistake, and that was a lesson I never made, a lesson I learned, and a mistake I never made twice. Never
yes,
made it.
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
it was a good, I don't think you should, as an entrepreneur, avoid mistakes. Mistakes lead you to success, right? Actually, you're going to make them. You need to realize you're going to make them. And I actually think you need to embrace them. Every time you have a mistake, try to figure out what can I learn from what happened, right? To move me forward. And actually, since you're going to make them, I advocate for making them as quickly as possible, right? So that you can keep moving.
Mhm,
Yeah, don't let them linger.
mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's so much in what you said. One, let's just work backwards. Yes,
yeah.
make them early
Yeah,
and plan for them. When we're talking about planning, plan for those red flags, plan for those errors, those issues. When you can make those mistakes early, it
yeah,
leaves room for you to be able to make the corrections and still
right.
get done what you need to get done.
Yeah,
The other thing I heard in what you said was people chasing opportunities. Sometimes the opportunity seems so good that you're willing to risk
yeah,
the
yeah,
red
yeah,
flags that you see, and it's inevitable that they come back and bite you.
yeah,
And this is where consequences kick in. Is it a
yeah,
consequence that you can live with? Because if it's a consequence you can live with, then maybe it's worth making that mistake so that you can get all the learnings, you can get the contacts, you can get all the context needed so that when that opportunity presents itself again,
yeah,
you have the green flags, the red flags, you have all the things that you need to know to be able to be prepared for it
yeah,
and be able to do the proper planning and things that we're talking about. So
yeah,
that's what I heard in what you were saying. And I think that's such a really important thing for people to understand because I'm joking about saying, you know what, I've learned, I'm not even giving some of these people a chance to mess me up like that. But
yeah,
that comes from the experience of going, I know what the heavy lifting looks like. You
yeah,
took on those events by yourself. What I heard in that is it also taught you your capacity.
yeah, 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 no, no, absolutely, yeah, so for me, part of why I did that was
Mm,
my reputation was important to me. It's I don't ever want everything's not gonna work, right? But
yeah.
I don't want to walk away from a relationship and people have
Mhm.
bitter thoughts about, the work I put in, the
Yeah,
effort I put forward, may not have a positive outcome, but I want them to know that I did everything that I could to make this work.
yeah,
And, it didn't work and it was outside of my control. And I did everything I could to try to make this work out. So, because you never know when you're going to run into someone else again. Maybe this person might be someone who could provide me financing for a future venture. Maybe they could become a potential customer for a future venture. I don't know what kind of relationship I might or might not have with this person in the
yeah,
future. So I don't want, I'm not trying to burn a bunch of bridges, you know.
yeah.
So when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't really care if I don't want it to cost me money, but if it costs me money, then so be it. I'm still going to do what I set out to do because
Mhm.
I want my reputation to be one where, when Jeff says he's going to do something, he does it, you know?
Absolutely. That gets you spoken well of in rooms that you're not in.
Yeah.
Like, people will know that you were left in a bind and say, "You know what?" The average person would have said, "You know what? I'm sorry, we're just not gonna be able to do this." But when your follow through is even at your own expense, but
Hmm.
you still say, "You know what? My reputation more means more to me than being inconvenienced," that stands out.
Yeah.
That's the reputation you wanna be able to have as a business owner. That not only works well in B2B, but it also works well in B2.
Right.
Uh, it's
Well,
funny, I was looking at something. I'm sorry.
Well, and when you look at that specific example,
Mm,
yeah, it was inconveniencing for me, having to put myself in that position to say, "Hey, I'm going to commit to going forward with this." But
mhm.
had I backed away from it, I could have. I don't know this for a fact because I never let this happen, but I could have been faced with a lawsuit. Right, lots of people that could have, because I had musicians that I had hired who had given up, I'm assuming, other gigs to
Yeah,
perform on a certain date for me. I had, facilities, locations that I had, rented in advance. They might have turned other opportunities to rent their space out to other people on the same dates, right?
yeah,
Um, I had people who had purchased tickets to attend and had, changed their schedule to be able to attend my event, you know? Uh, um, so if I walk away from everything, yeah, it might feel good at the time, I guess, knowing that, okay, I don't have to pay this money. But then
mhm.
any of those people who were impacted by the fact that they cleared their calendar to do
That
something
part right there,
to
yeah.
help me, who now, if I back out, say, if I've paid money, if I've turned down another event, if I've turned down another gig, I might decide they might decide, Let me sue this guy," right?
Yeah,
So, you know, that could be a more costly, lesson than me going through with the event, and covering the cost of the event. So, my
yeah.
thing was, like I said, when I commit to doing something, I do it.
Yes, yes. I think we both share the same understanding of, I need to look beyond what the consequences look like for me
Right.
and consider what the consequences would be for someone else.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
enough about being on the music label side to know that artists really make the bulk of their money by going on tour.
Yeah.
So canceling that event and knowing that they may have had an opportunity to make that money elsewhere, yeah, they're going to be hot.
Yeah.
Same with the events, the people that have the facilities, the clubs, or any of those venues. If they plast on allowing another artist to be able to go in, that's money that they're not going to make. So
Right.
they're planning for that. It even goes down to the consumer, where let's say that person bought the tickets. What if
Yeah.
that was for someone's anniversary?
Yeah.
What if it was for an event that was going to be a life changing thing, and that person just blew it off and said, "Well, I got to think about myself." There's a ripple effect that takes place
Yeah.
that it will touch people in ways that you never get to see how bad it like how it touched them, but like they don't forget those things in the
Yeah.
best and worst of ways. And I mean, you can speak to it as well as I can. People remember the bad things more than they remember the good things more than
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Like when the stories come back around, like I from a relationship standpoint, I can't tell you how many different people, business, personal, any of the rest of that, when I have conversation with them, they'll tell me, "Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I was with this person, and here's all the things that went wrong." And my follow-up question is, "Well, I mean, that's a lot of time you spent with them. So you're
Yeah.
telling me all the bad. I know there had to be some good. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the good."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's human nature to be able to think about those things. And in the retelling the story, the fact that I would have to follow up and ask somebody about the good,
Right.
what happens in all those rooms that you're not in? And that person that bought the ticket said, "You know what? I bought a ticket from this person. And this person was running the production and the event, and then they bailed and they left me, in a bad spot." All of these people are having conversations where you're nowhere to be found. And then you go to have conversation with someone else, and they may know that person. It may be a friend of a friend, any of those situations, and you're running into a wall before you even understand why you're running into the wall.
Yeah. And
So I
and,
think that's the importance of reputation.
right, and I never tried another venture like that, but what if I had come across an opportunity to do another venture like that. So,
Mhm.
years later, 'cause you're absolutely right. People remember those bad experiences much longer for a much longer period of time. So if the circumstances had changed, and years later, I had the opportunity to do that type of work again.
Mhm.
Um, someone might remember, well, Jesus Christ, 20, 30, 40 years ago when Jeff was doing this, this is the experience I had with him, and I'm not going to invest in that again, because what if he does that again? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I have new partners, and maybe behind closed doors, they're being talked to about, "Did you know that he tried to do this X number of years,
Mhm.
and this is how it worked out? Did he tell you about that?" "No, he never told me about that." Well, you might wanna ask him why he never told you about that, you know? So, yeah, I didn't wanna I don't ever wanna have those kinda conversations with anyone I'm associated with, as a potential partner or as a potential customer about anything I've ever done. So, that drives why I do what I do, and how I do what I do.
Absolutely. I think the shelf life on mistakes lasts way longer than the great experiences that you can give someone. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking back to being on the publishing side, and there was a Slack channel
Mhm.
that different publishers were all part of, and they weren't telling people they were part of it. And there
Okay.
was salespeople that would sell people on stuff, and then it didn't go the way that they thought it was going to go, or different situations. And then they would go to have a conversation or pitch to someone, and they're like, "I'm hitting a wall. I barely got to say anything."
Yeah, yeah,
And they
yeah.
were like, "I don't understand what's going on." And then it's the people that actually, like, after a point, we realized that they actually had that channel, and they were talking amongst themselves.
Yeah,
And it wasn't the person having a name, it was that guy. So it wasn't, I'm not even gonna use my name because I don't want to put that bad karma on myself. But John Doe, you weren't John Doe anymore. You were that guy.
yeah,
And that guy is attached to that story. And it doesn't matter what you've done since then. It's like, remember that story I told you? Yeah, that's the guy.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that girl. You don't want to be that woman, that man. Like, you have to think about the consequences and understand that they go well beyond whatever that inconvenience you might have had in that situation. See it through.
yeah,
And when you see it through, then it puts you in a position to be able to have that conversation later where you can say, you know what? Yeah, well, I lost my shirt on that one, but I had to make sure that I followed through. And did you at least enjoy the event?
yeah,
Oh, I had a great time. And I
yeah,
didn't know that you went through all of that. And you did what? Oh, hold on. Like, that lets me know that you're somebody that I'm willing to work with because you're willing to go above and beyond for the results,
right,
not just what's in it for you. So I love that story. I love the different versions of it that other people may hear in it that include themselves to know when they were inconvenienced. And they
mhm,
said, I'd rather be inconvenienced than to be that guy, that girl.
right,
So
right,
better to be able to look at that from that situation. And I'll bring it full circle back to, this is why you plan. You plan
yeah,
for things to go well. And all of the plans, all of the systems, all the frameworks, these are all built around things going perfectly.
yeah,
What you
yeah,
also have to do is plan for all of those things to go back to the 95% that you spoke to. So it frees you up for that 5%
right,
for when things don't go well. And you have to be able to say, you know what, it's bigger than me, and
yeah,
figure out how you're going to be able to work around it.